Mark the leg length all the way around. Take 1/16 measure of the south down wall and wrap it around the stick, all the way around from the mark till the end, and back again if you need to. And then needle felt along the stick, all the way along and all the way around until you have a little leg. So once it's needle felted, slip it from the stick and make 3 more so that you've got 4 in all. Mark the body length. Wrap 1/2 measure between the body lines and needle felt along as you did with the leg until you have something that looks like this. Leave it on the stick, and now we're going to make the tail. Wrap a 1/8 measure around the tail next to the body and needle felt until it's attached all the way around. Check the template to make sure that you've got it just about right, and then on to the next step. Mark the head length. Needle felt between the headlines, then push to the end of the stick. Needle felt 1/16 measure around 1/2 of the head. Until you get something that looks like this. 1/16 of merino and fold to create a teardrop shape. Needle felt it, both sides. Now make 2 of those. Pull some wool from the end of the leg with the embroidery needle. Checking on the template, place the legs in the right position and needle felt the leg to the body. 1/16 around the top of the leg. Just wrap it round. Once you've got it to hold, needle felt it into place. And now I've gone on to a finer needle because I don't want to move the wool around too much. Pinch and felt the top of the back legs from both sides of the leg, on both sides of the body. 1/32 measure on top of the front of the body, just loosely with the fine needle. That's just going to hold the head in place until I can add some more wool to form the neck. Now the standard needle that I'm going to use now is going to hold those 2 parts together, and I'm going right deeply in there. Go from every angle until you've got it enough to hold. 1/32 measure around the neck. Gently does it. The standard needle's best for joining parts together. The fine needle, you can't do that very well at all. Right, so the neck is going to help those to hold. That's roughly the right size and everything's as it should be. 1/16 black merino with a fine needle either side of the head. And I want those 2 black patches to be roughly the same size. You don't need to go deeply here. Just shape those up either side of the head. Attach the ear to one side of the head on the black patch. Just refer to the template if you've got the book. Okay, and I'm using a standard needle to implant the ear into the head. Turn it over and do the other side. So I've threaded the seed beads and I've got them ready to go into the little dog. In fact, I've put one through already. And now the second side, the other side of the black patch, that goes through to the back of the head. Tie the threads at the back. I'm going to pull them tightly so they go into the wool. You want them to pull right in so you've got like a little indentation so it doesn't sit like it's popping out. It looks more natural. Doesn't matter that it pulls in at the back because you'll add more wool. And once you've tied that off, you can thread those threads and pull them back into the dog. 1/16 measure of wool down the front, under the head there, down over the neck, under the chest, to get some shape on the dog. I'm using the fine needle there, but it doesn't matter too much. I want some shape at the back of the head there, the back of the neck there. So tap it gently. You don't want to disturb the whole dog. 32 measure at the top of the legs there. So that's about that much. You can pull things about with a needle, an embroidery needle, not a felting needle. And I've got this fine needle here that I'm working my way around. Now we're going to make little feet. So 32 measure. Needle felt that to the front of the leg. Use a standard needle for that, just to implant that wool at the base there, right at the bottom. Standard needle to get those fibres on there, and then fiddle about with fine needle after. And now you can see, you'll start to get the shape of a foot on the bottom there rather than just a straight tube. I'm just going to trim around to form the tiny foot. You don't want it too big. And I'm going to do the same thing with all of those feet. Then he's got something to stand on. 32. Down with the fine needle between the eyes there. That's going to go all the way down. Back of the head, down the neck. And you can bring any loose wool that you don't want to go right down, you can bring it up and needle felt it. Just move things around a bit until they look just how you want them to be. So that tail looked very straight. I'm stabbing with a standard needle, the centre there, and it will begin to curl. That's just the underside there. You need to hold that tail really firmly, otherwise you'll pull it off. I'm just going to trim that. Perhaps I can make it just a bit shorter. That's better. As you can see, it's starting to take shape. I'm also going to use the reverse felting needle to pull some more from the back of the legs there to make feathers. If you don't have a reverse felting needle, get an embroidery needle and just carefully holding that leg very tightly, just pick at the back of the leg there like that to pull some loose wool. And the other side, and just trim to the length that you want if it looks straggly. That's not too bad actually. Doesn't need too much off. I've taken a 132 measure and pulled it out, rolled it between my fingers and made it longer. And this thread of wool will go in the middle there, between that dog's legs. And I've just pricked my finger, never mind. And I want to form little loops all the way down the centre there, between those legs. And I'm using a fine needle because I don't want to move things about too much. And just forming little loops. With another 32 measure. And again, I'm going to go the other side of that centre one. I've got 3 rows of loops underneath, one in the centre and one either side, and now I'm just going to trim them. Those little loops I'm going to cut through. Arrange the feathers with the embroidery needle. So I'm going to get the tiniest little bit of merino, black merino, and roll it into a little ball, and then place it on the end of the little dog's nose with a fine needle. I'm going to form an oblong shape, tap it in. It just needs to be so small. Right, okay. And you can even just draw some of it down to form the nose. You can make it bigger, smaller. You can roll the legs and make them slightly longer. You can add patches here and there to give the dog more character. And I'm using a fine needle to do that as well. You can make a blue roan by adding black wool and then pulling through with the reverse felting needle. And that's your little doggy. Little spaniel with little sparkly eyes. Just to tidy up is needed, I think, with a pair of scissors. And you've got your little doll's house dog.